You all right? What happened then?
What's going on?
Jay just sniggering, making me laugh.
I didn't do anything.
Hi everybody, my name's Stephen Howson. This is Howson's Brew, joined by Jay Motty from Scotty and Motty.
Thank you, mate. Nice plug.
I'm joined by Ronaldo Brown from Stretford Paddock FC.
I'm the tier one. I'm the tier one podcast.
And a tier 1 podcast, which we've not done in 2 years now.
No,
But anyway,
it's a tier 1
Hey,
podcast
it's
for
coming
a
back
reason.
soon, though,
It
because
is.
I was tier 1. Don't accept nothing less.
No.
yeah, this is the Brew, but where are they?
Well, that's an excellent point, Ronaldo. Well made. As always, waiting on a brew. Nice milky tea with 2 sugars as well.
And you do like it milky, you
I do
don't
like
know.
it milky, yeah. I do like it milky. Bit of a serious one today. Unfortunately. We saw over the weekend Mason Greenwood get hammered by the press.
Yeah.
Starting comparing him to Ravel Morrison, which I think is just irresponsible for one, wrong for another, and so far wide of the mark that I almost can't believe it for a third. We saw the Daily Mail decide to initiate what I anticipated about 3 weeks ago, that Marcus Rashford's embarrassed this government. Tory little posh rich boys. Not all went to private school, probably don't know any black people, let alone like any black people. So at some point they're going to embarrass him. And a complete non-story about what Marcus invests his money into yesterday in the Mail.
Yeah.
So fuck you for starters, if you wrote that, or if you work for him, fuck you. And we'll get into that. But I want to start on the Mason Greenwood stuff because obviously last week there was some brutal rumours about a rape allegation of a young Premier League star. Now, which newspaper was that in? Was that the Mail as well?
Yes, I believe it was.
We're all under the same kind of
So
Yeah, I think it was the Mail.
they edited that. Don't know on the back of whose say so, but they edited that to suggest that it was someone in their 20s because the rumours immediately caught fire, and I was getting texts off people I don't even speak to on a regular basis saying, I've had it on a good source from a copper that was in the interview room that's Mason. Well, it's not Mason because it wasn't Mason. People jumped on the back of this. Mason's probably going through some shit at the moment as one of his friends recently committed suicide. I think the funeral for that was in the last few days.
Jeremy Whiston,
very recently.
the ex-City lad.
Which I'm sure you've got a circle of friends who must know that guy.
Yeah, a little bit of the younger kind of people that I know.
What is he, about 2 years younger than you?
He's a bit, I think more than that.
17 months.
He was 17 in the team, but I do know players generally around that kind of age group. And obviously Akira Simmons, who's played for us in Stretford Paddock FC, he's got a little brother that's at City, who's near enough the same age, a couple of years older, but did know of him. I know a little youngster for Blackburn who was at City around the same age group as him as well. Because it was a girl, and I'm not going to go into that, but their little brother that was very, very, very close friends with him. So it's kind of it was very closer to home than I would have liked it to have been. Obviously, it's been a quite deep time, but it's been coming in a kind of period where people have been trying to kind of look towards the mental health side when it comes to young people in general, not even just young people in sport.
Well, they've been saying they are.
Well, they've been saying they are. That's what I kind of did mention when I did write whatever I did write.
So yeah, you did an article last week, almost in defence of Mason Greenwood. Do you want to give us the bullet points of that?
It was a defence of him, but I was using him kind of an example of defending just young athletes in general that are in limelight or spotlight in general. Because what I don't want it to look like is if I'm just kind of just completely defending him wholeheartedly about any kind of wrongdoing that he might possibly have done. Because I did say I do agree with accountability when it comes to being a professional and how you kind of have to conduct yourself. But it doesn't allow you to kind of push forward that kind of defamation of character and just the kind of the targeting that some of them get. And obviously they're athletes and professionals, but they're humans first and they're people as well.
And he's not a teenager.
And he's a teenager, and not everyone kind of reacts to the same. Someone might be able to deal with it accordingly, someone to block it out, but he could be a player that he could let it get to him, and that could be a possibility. You obviously see now the kind of death Jeremy might have obviously affecting him as he's openly stated. But I think people need to be careful, and I just don't like the way that your profession, when it comes to being a professional athlete in sport, kind of allows the media attack or normalizes the media attack from journalists and people out there. I don't think it's right at all. I just think whether you like it or not, or whoever agrees with me or not, whatever you do, whatever your profession is, whatever kind of fame or spotlight you've got, just basic kind of like morality and just human rights is just has to go without saying.
Being number 11 for Manchester United doesn't mean that your friend passing away doesn't hurt. And for a young person who's we'll throw a link to Ronaldo's article in the comments as well if you want to go read that. I lost obviously with the profession that I had as a young man. I lost a lot of friends, but I also lost civilian friends as well. And the civilian friends hurt more because I didn't expect it. And some of those took me a long time. I had a friend kill himself on New Year's Eve in 2004. He was 19. And honestly, I don't even know if I'm still over that, to be honest with you. It absolutely decimated us as like a friendship group, big friendship group. And I think if I'd have been under the spotlight, I was a soldier going through basic training.
Thank you, mate.
If I'd have been a professional athlete trying to deal with that, I don't know if any of us, even can put into words what the pressure of playing for Manchester United in England in 2020 must be like. I don't think any of us could even fathom. I think it's a whole different existence. I think there's no words to describe just how nutty of an existence that is and what the adaptation of that must be. Mason Greenwood's gone from being a guy that used to message our account saying, "Can I have a shout out?" to being a guy that can't walk down a street without getting mithered, I'm sure. I get texts off people saying, "I've just seen Mason in Sale." On a scooter. So you can imagine what his parents are getting, some of the stuff that he gets. We know a guy that was like, "Oh, look at him cracking onto this bird here."
Yeah. I got that message. I was like, "And?"
Yeah, so
what are you filming that for and sending it to people?
Exactly. So I can't think any of us can fathom
what's all that about,
what that existence is like. So and I'm not, please don't take this out of context because I know everyone's going to, but if he has gone off the rails, is he not allowed to go off the rails a little bit depending on the circumstances of what's just happened? Yes, he's a professional, but as Ronnie's saying, guy's a human. And we don't know what the mental toll on that is. And we saw he's out here liking different posts.
He's liking posts about the fact that he might be struggling in the wake of his friend's death.
And if that's
he's liking that,
saying
there's a message liking that post saying, "Back off him. He's just lost a friend." He liked that. That's him sending a message to everyone
saying,
maybe there's truth to this.
Read this.
Yeah, he liked your article, didn't he? He liked it on Twitter. So that's a message from him. And then you still journalists, and I use the term loosely, still carry it on, still run an article. I think Steve Bates, you see
Ronaldo, Rio Ferdinand quote tweeted the article that was in the Mirror, which has said Manchester United officials are worried Mason Greenwood's going to turn into the new Ravel Morrison. For starters, he's actually achieved more in men's football than Ravel Morrison has already.
Yeah.
Let's just put that out.
Yeah, yes.
I also don't think that anyone has anywhere near the level of concerns, and the concerns with Ravel was, one, valid, and two, there was multi-layered and reasons for some of the concerns with Ravel. There's never been that sort of thing with Mason in the slightest.
Not remotely.
Rio Ferdinand quote tweeted and said, "I want the name of the official that you spoke to."
Yeah, he speaks to, and he's...
Yeah. You're not going to get that anyway. People don't usually give their sources up, but I'm not hearing.
So you basically think they kind of use the United officials as like kind of a blanket statement of the fact that
is an idea I pulled out of my ass.
Yes, but then you can't fully say. It gives them kind of room to say, "Oh, I can't exactly tell you that," which means they've not spoke to anyone at all. But I don't know. It's just it's
that he had a bad training session.
Yeah, it's bad.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's Bruno got annoyed at a misplaced pass. Oh, then in that case, he's like Ravel Morrison. It's just like, that's quite a leap. To be frank, do you know what I mean? And then Gary Neville quote tweeted it and said he's unfollowing the account. You spoke about Rio. I think Jamie Carragher made a joke about it, and Gary Neville told him it's not the time for joking. It isn't funny. Which wish he'd have said that a few years ago, to be honest with him. But he's right.
Yeah.
you know, he's liking the post you talk about. We had the rumours that were doing the rounds, and I was like yourself, getting all the messages and all this. And I was a little bit...
People like, I know.
Yeah.
I spoke to a copper. Fucking did you?
And it was... Maybe I'm being overly cynical, and I might be wrong here, but, you know, that story went out on Friday without an age to it, so it allowed people to think it was... And then a few hours later... Oh, he's in his 20s. He's in his 20s.
It's a player in his 20s.
And I was maybe the cynic in me thinking, did they not know that when they published that story that he was in his 20s? Could that not have been? Could that not have been stood up?
I think they put this out as if to be like, we've got an exclusive, and then everyone jumps to this wrong assumption, and they're like, fuck's sake. I actually do think they had a bit of integrity about them there.
Really?
Yeah, I do, and I think they changed it by going, look, let's actually.
Are you sure it's integrity, or is it just a response to backlash?
Yeah. Could they not have done that? The thing is, right? I mean, I can only go off when I was a journalist, but you know, when the GMP, the press office, used to release a statement saying, you know, a man's been arrested, usually would put in his 20s, in his 30s, whatever. If they didn't, you could go back to them and say, listen, can you give us a little bit more on this because there's rumours doing the rounds or whatever. The only reason that they would withhold that is the reporting restrictions usually, and I can look again, I'm only going off what I remember from my reporting days, was if it identifies the victim.
Yeah. So if you said a 47-year-old Premier League star and there was one player who's 47, they'd be like,
well, that's so, you know what I mean? So that's usually why. So I don't think that was the case in it. And I'm just, my cynicism came in was, did they know that? Did they think by being a bit more ambiguous?
Yes, now I'm saying I'm in agreement with you though.
Yeah, like we can get this hype going and then we come in and go, oh, by the way, he's in his 20s.
That's what I'm saying, Neff. It's just the timing of releasing the article with all that was going on with Mason Greenwood. It's hard not to be cynical because then you think, are they were purposely ambiguous and they published the story at around the same time, knowing that people would try and relate it to Mason Greenwood just to maximise engagement.
People just lie.
Yeah.
Nah, it's just...
Because I think we all got the same thing, didn't we? Like, my mates, literally 3 different people told me my mate's a copper and he was in the interview room and like he was... I saw different times that the guy got released from, and you're like...
Yeah. Screenshots. Remember that there was a screen... I'm not going into it, but there's certain screenshots going around that was just drivel that everyone seems to be getting. Oh, this is the...
Here's the girl... You mean that famous Instagram model that everyone knows?
You have a bit of, you know,
make it a better life.
Decency as well. Like, why are you posting that as supposedly the victim of a sexual assault anyway? Why are you doing that? Yeah. That's not even okay. Do you know what I mean?
Completely.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
what I'm saying.
There's a line that you just cross in it, just pack it in basically, and then in the middle of all this, you've got a young kid who's going through the mill, just lost his mate, and he's now getting accused of one of the worst crimes you can get accused of when it's got nothing to do with him whatsoever. And then 7 hours later, whatever it is, they release just. I even had people, this is how bad it is, that were going. I posted something about Mason, get off his back sort of thing. I think I might have reposted your article. And then someone saying, oh, he's just been nits. I was like, well, he hasn't though. After the thing came out about him in his 20s saying, still could be true.
This is what I mean.
Like, honestly, mate.
I don't know. Like,
no, right. He's one of the, if not the most famous teenager in the country. He's not in his 20s. They would know he's not in his 20s, so it isn't him.
They literally changed it to throw everyone off the scent after the rumour. Whether that was deliberate, whether that was by accident, honestly. Whether that was an integrity.
I don't know. So
whatever the reasons was, they put it out that he was in his 20s to basically tell everyone it wasn't Mason.
They did that after already maximising their engagement.
That's why I'm a little bit cynical. I don't know that, but I'm a little bit cynical, mate. Because I think they could have got that stood up a lot quicker that it was in his 20s. I think they may have even known that when they published the story and I made it. Again, though, we don't know. It's just... It jades you, and I am a journalist, you know, I've been a journalist for years, but when you see things like that, it does deflate, and you think the stuff with the Mirror article, the stuff with the 2 Mail articles, the one about Marcus, which you're going to get onto, and the Mason stuff, or not Mason stuff, I should say, just, you know, articles doing around, you're like, got to be better than that, man. Yeah. You have.
What was the basis? I mean, like Rio Ferdinand, I want to know who the official was. I want to know who the official was that supposedly spoke to him and said that they're worried for him. And especially, like, Ravel Morrison went royally off the rails. This isn't like
and that wasn't
someone not reaching his potential like Makeda. Like, would that not have been maybe a better one? Like, when you say the Ravel Morrison thing, that throws up all sorts of connotations. Yeah, why not just someone not to reach their potential?
But the thing is with Ravel Morrison's kind of problems were literally ongoing from a child.
Yeah, I think in his defence, if we can as well, I think Ravel Morrison, I mean, I don't know him personally, I've met him a couple of times, I don't know him. I think he had maybe issues that weren't addressed.
Oh, no, he massively had issues that weren't addressed. And maybe still haven't been.
Yeah, that haven't been addressed because it was beyond being a bit, you know, bit of a jack the lad or whatever. I think he had issues. He had
If he ever does an autobiography,
it'd be fascinating. A crowd around him.
It's going to be unreal.
Yeah. That he didn't need to be around as well, and I think that wasn't dealt with. And I think, you know, as you've just pointed out, Mason's already achieved more. Ravel never really got there. I know he played for West Ham, he played for QPR. And, you know,
he never had consecutive starts in the Premier League.
You know what I mean? This is a kid that... You used to watch that 2011 team. You know, Pogba was in it, Lingard was in it, the Keane brothers, Tunnicliffe, decent players, top-level players. He stood out, even more than Pogba. And people, I mean, I went to watch that team.
But Pogba and Morrison would be scoring week in, week out, and you'd think it was a strike partnership, not a central midfield. For me,
Ravel Morrison, every time he got the ball, you're excited. This kid's going to do, and he'd run past players. He was having a laugh. He was just enjoying his football. He was amazing, and you thought he's someone to watch. And yet, you know, did he even make a debut for United? I can't remember.
Yeah, and his first touch was a back heel against West Ham.
So I mean, like, sort of, I mean, and I sort of forgotten that, but I know, you know, you're right. I expected him to do great things, and I know he's still going. Now he's only 27. It's not like his career's over, but. Let's face facts, he's nowhere near the
more false dawns than what.
Do you know what's odd about that? The fact is, the Ravel Morrison comparison is obviously harmful to Greenwood, but it's almost like an unnecessary shot at Ravel.
Yeah.
As well.
Congrats to Ravel this weekend as well. Actually, he made his debut for Jamaica. You know, he's still trying. He's still working away, and whether or not he reached the potential that he had as a boy, probably not. But at the end of the day, he's still a professional footballer. He's out here, like I said, I think Saudi Arabia, I think they played this weekend, and he came on making his debut for Saudi Arabia. So
it's a shame as well, isn't it? You know, because that's a good news story for him, making his international debut.
Another international academy graduate.
And you Google his name, you're going to get, Mason Greenwood's turned into Ravel Morrison.
Yeah, it's just...
Really?
It's just, it seemed like an opportunity for him to take shots at both. It's just very strange. I don't know. It depends on what you want to see their kind of agenda is, which I think is quite obvious.
I always pine for him anyway, but days like this, you just pine for the Fergie, don't you?
Yeah.
You're all banned.
Like
everyone who's wrote that article, you're banned for life from the.
Who'd you work for?
Yeah, you can go. Yeah.
Whale, bye.
No. Yeah.
I actually wish United would get a set of bollocks about themselves now, because it seems like there was a journalist, let's say, and an actual journalist from a reputable source, so obviously not the MEN. A reputable journalist once told me that if you write something about Manchester City in a negative light, they phone you up and ask you to explain it.
I was at a press conference once where Pep had a go at the City press conference. Pep had a go at referees. It was in his first season when he wasn't the god that everyone thinks he is now at City, or in the Premier League. And he'd had a go about the refs not protecting players or whatever. And we were at the press conference, and there was question after question about referees. No more questions about referees. All right then, I've got a question for you. Officials, what do you think of them? No more questions about officials. Okay then, the authorities. It was just like roundabout way. And I think it was, I forget her name, is it Vicky Floss, whatever her name is, who was like the head of media at City, came down and she was watching this, and afterwards, and I can say this because I don't really care anymore, she took us all to ban me from the Etihad. What did he do? And she took us all to one side and he said, I won't have this. Question after question about referees. She said, it's not on. He answered one, and you're asking it again and again. There's agenda going on. She said, if you were that down the road, you'd have been barred, meaning United, like, you'd have barred you. I was going to arrange a dinner with him, and I'll cancel it if this carries on. I don't give a fuck about dinner with Pep Guardiola. You cancel what you want, don't even turn up. So I was like, right, okay, you can't tell us what to do, but the point of making is they were on it, and it was like, we're not having it. Yep. And then a week later, you know what? It did the trick, because a lot of them journalists were asking, like, even though the story was ongoing, so he was having this feud with referees, it kept on for a few weeks. The question sort of died down because people don't want to bite the hand that feeds you.
This journalist was telling me, like, you write a negative article about them and they phone you up and ask you to explain it, and he goes, they don't tell you to stop. He goes, you just can't be asked. Like, I write an article, I'm researching my next one, I can't be asked having my ear chewed off about they go through every single line. Why did you say that? Why did you say this? Why did you say that? He goes, and nothing I've said's wrong. Nothing I've said's blah, blah, blah. He goes, no, they're not taking me to court. He goes, they just ask you to justify every pissing sentence. And he goes, you can't be asked. He goes, and it's effective because you go, I'm not going to write that. I can't be bothered with the earache afterwards. And it's effective. And since Fergie left, there was a bit of an open season on criticise United, especially under Moyes, and as Louis became a bit of a clown for the press, and Jose's Jose, and Solskjaer, is himself on there. But there's no fear factor at United. There's no respect. There's no authority, and there's no one to be like, who the fuck do you think you are? And this is a genuine thing. I literally said to someone at United, just let me come into the press conferences and I'll heckle shit questions. I asked. They said no.
You'd have a sore throat by the end of it, mate.
Not your answer that, dick.
No, you are right, because I'm thinking, aren't United looking at the Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford kind of drama and articles?
United need to start shooting back, man.
I want to know, because I'm thinking, surely they must know that's going to affect the team. That's going to affect the squad. It's negative energy, it's negative vibes, it's just negative, just pure negativity surrounding it. And obviously, if Mason Greenwood is going in with the obviously problems that he's got, and Marcus is having to deal with all this shit, and this is all that they're hearing within the club around United, it's an energy sapper. I mean, that's what it is, because we used to call stuff that when we used to play in teams energy sappers. It could only take one person.
We used to play for who?
Oldham. One person.
That's quality.
Speaking of which, it's your old gaffer's birthday today,
Let's go. Who's? Tony.
Scholes's.
Wow. So gone quiet over there.
He was gaffer for how long? He must have came in.
Fucking hell!
He came.
Oh yeah, sorry. If you don't know, Ronaldo played for Liverpool. I'm not going to put the thing on because he cries, but he did.
Nah, he came in and he's very. Obviously, his tenure was short-lived, but that's what I'm saying. Back to the point I was originally making.
Sorry, son. Go on.
Not like. All right.
Nah, it can have an effect, and probably it's a good thing it's come when it's been international week and it's not been around games. So obviously the stories might eventually die out. But as you're saying, I would have liked United to come out in some way, shape, or form and been like, yeah, this is not on, because obviously it's harmful to Greenwood and it's harmful to Rashford.
We've got a press conference Friday. That's your perfect opportune moment.
Do it. Yeah. It's harmful to the club, because obviously I've talked about duty of care, and duty of care is important, and it doesn't lessen just because you're a professional athlete. Simple as.
Walk into that press conference with a bat, put it on the table, and be like, right, what we're talking about then today?
Right. I mean, just you're right.
What?
They've got to push back. I mean, I'm not into
not threatening anyone.
Sometimes even Fergie could just ban people for nothing. Like, it got a bit silly at times. I think didn't he ban Daniel Taylor for telling the truth about a real Ferdinand injury once? And it was just like got a fucking 2-year ban or something.
And that's why he wrote the book, wasn't it? On the back end.
It's like it did get a bit giddy at times, but it was Fergie, so what are you going to do? So I'm not into just banning journalists constantly, but there has to be some sort of accountability, like you're saying. And when it's harmful, this isn't, I don't know, Wayne Rooney's been levered out of his head the night before or whatever. It's just nonsense. This is like a lad who's really struggling, getting thrown under the bus.
Right.
And you've got to have a bit of a line here. These
fucks are in a privileged position. Let's get it right. I've not been to a game since March. He's not been to a game since March. You've not been to a game since March. These fucking knobs that get to go to matches behind closed doors don't realise the privileged fucking position that they're in, that they're getting to go and actually watch football. They're not paying for their fucking tickets. They're paid to be there. And these dicks get to ask stupid bone questions like that, create narratives and agendas on the back of absolute nonsense. Someone from either the Premier League or the club, and I'd prefer it to be the fucking club, needs to take a stand. And they need to say, do you know what? You've took the piss. Get out there. What? Us as a fan channel aren't allowed in press conferences, right? But all of these people that create absolute shitstorms for the club on the basis of nothing, they're allowed in there on the back of what? The circulation of some of them newspapers is fucking less than this very TV show that we're doing right now.
I know, I agree with you. And I was surprised, I think, with the Greenwood one, was it? I think it was Steve Bates, I'm pretty sure it was, who, I've not had any dealings with him, I know who he is, but it surprised me it was him. He wasn't someone I'd associate with that sort of nonsense. I may be wrong, but it wouldn't have been a name that sprung to mind, and yet he's written something that, it seems to have very little basis on anything in terms of reality. It just seems to be almost created.
Do you think the kind of backlash and the stir that they kind of create is what they are half looking for, though? Because that's part of it. I'm thinking you're looking at them thinking, that's wrong, that's obviously bullshit, it's just not right. They have got to know that, though. They've got to know it's not right. And it kind of makes you look at it as if
they've got an editor, they're going, I need 3 United stories a week, lad.
Yeah, you're right. And it's the clickbait thing, isn't it? Like,
just clickbait.
I've got to hit these targets, and I've had conversations, I'm not going to name them, with journalists who I've called out who've privately messaged me saying, listen, you're right, basically. That article was, but I'm under a lot of pressure, and I've got to hit the targets, and I've got editors who want this, like you say, they want so many words on this, and they want so many hits, and it is a clickbait thing, and
do you know what?
We're pushing against it.
So apparently that justifies them.
No, not at all.
Assassinating characters. That's what I don't get.
Yeah.
But you know what? One thing that's and obviously they don't sponsor us anymore. They did sponsor us at one time, but one thing that the Athletic actually brought to journalism was fucking journalism again.
Yeah.
Because obviously we know several Athletic journalists. They don't have click targets. They don't have, I need 55 articles a day off you for your stupid fucking blog on your formerly great website. We need, I want interesting stories. We know Mitten's flying off to, used to pre-lockdown, flying off to fucking Brazil for one interview. Amazing. No. That's journalism. And the fact that they're willing to invest the time, and the considerable expense of airfare to fucking Brazil tells me that they're interested in proper journalism. And I think that's sorely lacking across the entire journalism sphere. And I almost want to come up with a new fucking name for these clickbait merchants that are just like, where's the journalistic skill in Bruno Fernandes made a tweet? I'm sorry, like, we wouldn't fucking create reports on the back of tweets. How are supposed journalists for national fucking entities getting away with this sort of stuff? That, I mean, literally, there's fan channels out there, and I include us in this, that have got a higher journalistic integrity and a higher journalistic ceiling than journalists.
I know what you mean. He's called what is it? He's called journalism, just churning out
rubbish.
Do you know what I mean? It's not even, you've not done any research, you've not got it stood up, you've not got any sources. You've just, that could be true. So let me
just say it.
Or here's an article, and let's get onto the Marcus Rashford one, right? So, like I said, 3 weeks ago, Marcus made the government do a U-turn for the second time, which honestly, I mean, we've said everything we need to say about Marcus Rashford. Smash-etoed it. Fucking unbelievable. Like,
smash-etoed.
Love that.
Just destroyed everything he's tried to do. Fantastic. Well played. I honestly did. After they knocked him back the first time, I was shocked when he got a U-turn. I was way more shocked when they U-turned on the second one because it had kind of gone quiet. Except the fact that, gone quiet, at least in the government side of things, it had not gone quiet on Marcus's timeline when he's like, anyway, here's like Woolston.
He's like mobilised the country, hasn't he?
Yeah,
it was
amazing.
Just like, wow.
Literally amazing. But I still didn't think he would get them to do a U-turn. And all you snivelling little Conservative MPs as well that voted no and are trying to get a bit of shine off saying, oh, congratulations, well done. I fucking take names, so fucking stand by.
I saw that. I saw one of your tweets and I'm thinking, have you been like kind of just scouring? Just
don't you worry, I'm having all of them, Ronnie. I'll go through every single fucking one of the dirty bastards. No stone unturned.
I remember seeing that tweet and thinking, fucking hell.
Like the Nazi hunters getting over to Argentina.
You've got the
excuse me.
You've got the bad girl of Brexit to cope with.
If she's a real thing, I don't know if that's real or not.
I think it is.
But yeah, so with Marcus Rashford this weekend, what we saw is the Daily Mail decided to delve into some of the finances of Marcus Rashford and see that he's bought, was it 5 houses for 2 million? I'm sorry, in certain parts of Cheshire, that's not even getting you an average house, let alone the average house.
It's getting you an apartment in London, basically.
Or not even sometimes. Not even. 400 grand, good luck getting an apartment in London, I would say. 5 homes. So Marcus is doing this, guess what? If he wants to invest in property, sound. Marcus, let's say he earns 10 mil a year. I don't know what he earns.
Yeah.
He's probably paying 4.5 in tax. So for all of those, why doesn't he put his own money into the school meals things? He is. And actually, can I address this while we're on as well? Because that dick last night, that John, whatever she's called, was like, why doesn't he put his own money into it? He does. You'll never hear Marcus say it, but I'll fucking say it for him. He does. And it's an eye-watering figure that he put in. He kick-started it, basically. So don't you fucking worry about what he's putting in. He's putting in.
Exactly. I remember I saw a tweet. Have you heard of a Carla?
Yeah, of course.
Carla, quite a well-known musician, but he's obviously very, very...
Akela.
No, it's a Carla. It's not Akela.
It's Akela.
Akela.
It's
a Carla. No way.
Right.
Regardless,
we're drifting
one of the most
from the point
well-spoken fucking dudes.
Yeah, very well-spoken.
Mate, I could listen to him all day long.
I love listening to him. He did kind of... He touched on...
He might be the smartest guy out there.
Yeah, he's a fucking brain.
Certainly one of the most articulate.
Absolute brain box.
Yeah, explaining his point.
And articulate as fuck.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's intimidatingly articulate.
He's famous for his anti... What's his name?
Tommy Robinson. When Tommy Robinson was on that chat show and he just destroyed him.
Ruined him.
Didn't just destroy him, he destroyed every point he was trying to make about racism and all that, how it comes from the top down, not the bottom up. It was fantastic. If you can't, just Google Akala or Kayla, whatever you want to say. It's AKA Tommy Robinson, and just watch someone, and then ring the police and report a murder.
Yeah, I can't remember some of the. He did tweet about the tax, like how much that Marcus Rashford would actually pay towards tax because he's extortionate wages. But wait, what's this? Carp dig.
Don't you worry about that.
No. What's going on there?
Let's read it now. He's here.
Right, all right. I'll read it, Joe. Right. Yeah. So we've had a super chat from Carp Dig. Thank you very much. We've got a super chat. Throw it in the mixer in below. And he's saying, some of these editors live in mansions. Actually, a lot of the people who run most of the UK press, don't pay any tax in the UK for starters, and some of them are literal billionaires. So that's a whole other topic that I'm sure me and Ronaldo can get into on a late night show.
Yeah. What late night show is that?
We'll figure it out. We'll
figure it out.
We'll make one.
Is it before my bed? Anyway. No.
Well, it's not after your bedtime, is it?
That's a different show that's not on this channel.
Yeah. Moving on.
Go on.
So what was that Kayla saying?
He just, I can't remember word for word what he said, but he mentioned how the likes of Marcus Rashford and the people that play football, in terms of how much that they're actually taxed, that it's almost disproportionate into the amount that they get taxed in terms of obviously the general public, obviously the fact that they earn more. I'm not going to actually state or quote anything he said because I can't remember perfectly, so I don't want to misquote him. But it was,
paraphrasing him is what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to paraphrase. But he did touch on that, saying you can talk about the amount that footballers earn and whatever they want to spend it on and have an opinion, but which I think generally is just usually born out of envy. I think that's what half of the lack of duty of care towards footballers anyway, in terms of what they've got to go through. You might earn a lot, but it doesn't mean that they're devoid of human problems.
I saw a tweet from him earlier, which was like, you always see this brought up about footballers, and hilariously, the government was like, I think the Premier League footballers need to do more, and Marcus went, what was that? Okay. And now they're like, do you mind not doing as much as you're doing? No bad. But like, you don't ever see Formula 1 drivers called out. You don't ever see tennis players called out.
Hedge fund managers.
Yeah.
What about them?
Golfers.
You never mind sports people.
Yeah, or hedge fund man. But golfers, you could be the 200th best golfer in the world, and you're earning.
And you're sat over there.
Yeah, you're earning like Premier League player. You're earning the sort of wages that you wouldn't get out of bed for a Premier League player wage. Like some of the money involved in some of the other sports that never get spoken about, but footballers does. And why does footballers do? Because it's a working class sport, very often played by
sport as well.
Played by immigrants.
That's Akala. See, I knew I was correct.
Like I said. Thank you.
Is it
to say Steve's right? Akala. Thank you.
Akala. Perfect.
Shut up.
Right.
Perfectly said by me. But when you was,
if you're watching Akala, apologies for this discussion.
When you were explaining that, I was kind of trying to think, why is it that footballers get that kind of viewing in comparison to other sports that earn relatively lucrative type of money?
Look at Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton. Formula 1's had one black guy as far as I'm aware. Lewis Hamilton. That's it.
I'm not a Formula 1
Up until Tiger Woods, was there any other black golfers? Couldn't tell you.
Vijay Singh, was he not before Tiger Woods?
Yeah, maybe
VJ.
But the
point is,
I
get your point, because even the likes of tennis. All right, so you got tennis, golf, Formula 1. You got
the Williams sisters, but I don't know any black dudes.
It's not about the colour. It's just the
I was going to say Arthur Ashe. Yeah.
It's the
I'm not very up on these sports.
No, it's the fact that tennis isn't obviously working class, is it?
No, is it fuck?
So
go and find out how much, because Janine for 5 minutes was interested in going to do tennis, and she went and found out how much tennis lessons was, and then that dream was over. But do you know, like, there's when it's a £5 to go and play under sevens football at your local team, or it's £50 an hour to be taught tennis lessons. Working class parents aren't taking their little Timmy and Johnny down to go and play tennis as much as they maybe would like to, as much as they maybe like to go into a sport that's not as cutthroat. Yeah, think about if you had to start doing the numbers, and if you was one of those guys that was like, right, I've got an athlete as a kid, where's the best place for me to put him? You wouldn't put him in football. There's too many variables in football. Would you put him into athletics? Again, a lot of that's down to just pure genetics. Would you put him in maybe tennis?
1-on-1 to be in.
Yeah, maybe rugby, maybe rugby union, maybe like a weird one like archery. Like Billy Connolly had a joke. Where's them guys that do like the walking marathons? Where do they train? Because none of them from Manchester. I guarantee you that. That's a posh boy sport. Can you imagine? You come on and go, Dad.
Want to do a walking marathon?
Got to do a walking marathon. Fucking walk like that. Fucking not in this house. Tell you that for free. Like, I did biathlon, shooting and skiing. I did it in the army. There's no way you're doing that if you're just in Manchester. Where would you even train in that? Well, maybe not. Shooting's not the best one, but do you know what I'm saying?
Because
where do you do all these
skiing's another one. Skiing's not working class. Skiing's another wealthy Tories-ish.
Horse dancing, dressage thingy, right?
Horse dancing.
Horse dancing. That's what it is, isn't it? Make me horse dance.
Where you doing we're very cultured on this show.
You're not doing that. There's not a Collyhurst fucking dressage centre. I guarantee. Don't you dare Google this.
This, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's like
even Formula One. Do you know how much fucking cash you need to be a go-kart racer at 6?
No, it's ridiculous.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I got to buy you a car.
Horse racing. Is that even the terminology for it? I don't know.
Horse racing.
Horse riding. Horse racing.
Well, both.
You are racing with horses. It's the same difference.
If
you ever need any tips for the Grand National, come and see Ronaldo. You can see he's got his finger on the pulse when it comes to horse racing or horse riding. Equestrianism.
Well, even horse racing, the barrier to entry to buy a racehorse,
you don't
see
any.
Cheap, are they?
There's no working class people.
No.
That ride horses. I'm pretty sure because for us, you got to afford a horse.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not cheap. I don't
they're dearer than dogs, I reckon.
I reckon a little bit more dearer than dogs.
I think that's safe to say.
Yeah.
Need a bit more walking than dogs as well.
And probably a little bit more food as well. Well, actually, no.
Unless you Mickey Quinn.
Oh, actually, and you need somewhere to have the horse, which is a lot of.
Which, if you live in a fucking flat in Hume, you ain't fucking doing.
Depends if they can fit. No, actually, they won't. But you get my point anyway.
So when I was growing up, right, my mate grew up in Droylsden. My mate and his mum lived on a house on Scott Road in Droylsden. So it's pure just. If you've seen Droylsden, it's just every house is a semi-detached. That's it. Like they've got a tiny little driveway, which is a fucking lie if you call it a driveway, and then they've got average-sized gardens.
Every house is a semi.
No, but like there's a lot of semi-detached houses. The 1930s sort of government estate build that they did everywhere. They had a little bit of a garden. Now, behind his house, there was an electricity sort of...
Substation
sort of thing, yeah. So, and there was a little bit of grass like around it, like a small field, not much. And we used to go in the back and play football sometimes. We've lifted his fence up, we've gone out, we've took a ball with us. There's a fucking horse in here. Some people had decided to buy a horse, just like a random house on the street, and was just letting it run fucking free in this field near the substation at the back. You ever been chased by a horse?
No,
they're fucking rapid, Jay.
No.
They're fucking well fast.
I'm sure you're going to get chased by a horse. I'm not sure about that.
What the fuck? Little 13-year-old steal like that.
Superman. Outrunning a horse.
No way.
Trees though, isn't it? Got a jink. You got a jink and move, Jay. Horses are big.
We used to have horses near us though. In the Ginnell, go through the Ginnell near my house. There was fields with horses in them.
What?
Posh. She's been in the council estate. Yeah. Well, I think they must have had a sale on horses and Droylsden
got a super chat from Aditya. It says United should hire a sports psychologist to help all the players. I think they do have sports psychologists.
Probably do have one. Yeah.
They used to work with. Is it Brian Bezic?
When we spoke to Jesse Lingard when we were Devils, he said I think he brought a psychologist in, or he asked to work with a psychologist. I don't know if it was a club, so he brought his own one in. But he spoke about that, about working with a psychologist. And that was a good example, because remember when Jesse did all the interviews and he spoke about his mental health. He spoke about being struggling, he had some family things he was dealing with. And for about a week, maybe 4 or 5 days, people were relatively sympathetic till his next bad performance. And then people were like, don't care about your mental problems, mate. You got to sort your head out and start playing football better. So,
But it all leads into everything.
Maybe we can be a little bit
You sleep better at night, your performance improves.
Of course it does.
But the issue is, you're talking about sports psychologists, whether they are in a club. Surely for a sports psychologist to be used, they've got to be seeked out by the actual player. And obviously in the kind of climate we live in, where we're men in general, especially sportsmen, aren't really going to go. They don't want to ask for help or assistance for the most part. It's still going to be down. That's kind of just where we are. So
do you think that's changing at all, Ronnie? You say like the environment you're out. I know what you mean, like alpha male type thing. But do you think there is more of that conversation going on, or do you think we're still miles away from that?
I think it's gone on a little bit just because people have highlighted obviously the toxic masculinity kind of narrative. But
would you have been felt like if you'd have been in the dressing room and you said, you know what, I'm really struggling, I'm going to see a psychologist, would you think your teammates would have been like, what's this kind of about?
Probably.
Yeah.
That's just a general, that's changing room culture, innit? It's kind of machismo. That's just the way it is, and
especially in an academy when you're trying, you haven't made it, you're
Yeah,
trying
no,
to make
it's literally
any sort of weakness
themselves.
or perceived weakness is going to be like I spoke to a counsellor on the back end of Iraq because that mashed me up like an absolute kettle, big time. And I broke my ankle following going on there. And we'd had a civilian doctor that had been in with us. And I don't know why. I don't know what made me do it. The guy was a bit all over the place and he couldn't find a notepad that he was looking for. So he was making small talk. So I'm just sitting there like this. And I wouldn't have said it to a military doctor, and I don't know why. And I don't know why I said it to him, but he was just saying stuff like, how are you? I was just sleepless, that and the other, and I was like, oh yeah, I ain't slept in about 3 months. And he went, what? Shit. And he was like, someone had obviously told him, oh, if any of the lads say this, you need to get a form out. And I ended up going and speaking to a counsellor for about 16 weeks or so. And they disguised it because obviously they don't tell everybody else in your unit you're going and speaking to a psychiatrist or anything like that. They said it was part of the rehab on my ankle. And I had to go up and I had these little conversations with someone. And I found it really helpful. Though I didn't have to go look at fucking splodges of ink or nothing like that. And I literally sat there with a bloke in his office and had a brew. And that was the kind of how it was. And I know there's a few of my friends that have been chatting to counsellors and stuff like that recently. And I think people have found it quite beneficial. And I think the stigma of going to them is a little bit less than it used to be, because I really didn't want to go, me. Like the same what Ronnie's saying with the dressing room culture. I don't want any of the lads to know that, fucking sent me head west when, getting shelled and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, regardless whether you've been in the army or not, there shouldn't be a stigma about going to see a psychologist. I've seen a psychologist and I've never served in the army or been a footballer. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there should be, but especially when you have been through something like that, then it's completely understandable. And I think, the more we can have that conversation, the better, because asking for help isn't a bad thing or negative thing, or admitting you haven't got all the answers.
These footballers are under. There's got to be someone that they can try and bounce something off and go, am I losing my mind here? Or is like, I liked a tweet and someone made an article about it. Can you imagine that?
That's mad, that, innit?
I just think
that's
being a footballer in that kind of limelight, or being an athlete in that kind of limelight, it just must be such an artificial way of living. You can't almost...
Go on, sorry.
Now, for a minute, you can't... You can think you can almost imagine it, but it's almost unimaginable how you almost have to live like, because it's not normal, obviously. You can't do the little things in life that you kind of take for granted, almost.
And these are young, wild men.
Yeah.
We've got to remember that these are young, wild men.
Making mistakes that probably, the mistakes or the kind of stuff that Mason Greenwood's been doing.
Mate, if you had a camera crew on Jay at 20.
Anyone, exactly.
I'd have been jailed. For starters. There's my 20's gone.
Did you have hair?
No, I lost it at 18.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did actually. Literally.
It was meant to be.
Genuinely.
We've had a new super chat. It's from Carp Digging Against,
mate. Yeah, cheers, buddy, my mate.
As an economics student, the most hilarious phrase is that footballers are overpaid, especially since this is never used with other sports. Again, we were talking about Formula 1. Like Formula 1, if you look at the amount that them guys earn, Lewis Hamilton doesn't pay a single dime of tax either.
Don't get me started on. Don't. It's very unpopular opinion to criticise Sir Louis.
My criticism of him was letting a woman like Nicole Scherzinger go, but obviously that's a different story.
Nicole Scherzinger made me wait 3 hours for an interview.
I guarantee she's a bellend.
That's what I'm saying. She made me wait for an interview and then didn't even do the interview, so you did the right thing.
She's a bellend. She's a bellend for not getting
Why was you interviewed?
I was waiting for the whole X Factor, right? I did Simon Cowell and Sharon Osbourne, and then the only one left was Nicole Scherzinger.
Wait.
This was at Old Trafford Cricket Club, and we kept waiting.
Just rewind that sentence. Right. You was interviewing
Simon Cowell, and then Sharon Osbourne was there, and I did them two and Louis Walsh, and then it was like waiting for Nicole, and they're like, Nicole's gonna be here soon, and we waited. There wasn't just me. There was a few other journalists there.
What was your questions?
Oh, do you know what it was like? It was the song for Grenfell had just come out, so it was like, the song for Grenfell that's doing really well. I think that Simon Cowell had been involved in that. But my editor laughed because she said that when I started asking him questions about the X Factor, she said, you couldn't have sounded more bored if you tried. Like, so, X Factor's at
should have asked Simon Cowell why he looks permanently sweaty.
His hands were very soft though. Softest hands I've ever
How
felt.
did you wait? Oh, from just the handshake.
Yeah, I moisturised him as we spoke.
Yeah,
I
he
just
sort of massaged his palm.
yeah.
I was thinking,
Simon,
shut up, you
tell
dick.
me. Well, yeah, she made me wait anyway, and then she got there, and they went, "Oh, she's not gonna be able to do any interviews because she's running late."
What was she late for? Interviews.
I don't know, whatever promo.
One of the softest hands I've ever shook.
Go on.
Fergie.
Really?
100 mile an hour. Shocked I was. Nearly fell over.
I've never
Thought I'd
shook
shook hands with a loaf of butter.
That might have been your hand sweat
for butter?
from nervousness.
Yeah, we usually.
No, it was his hand.
Was your hand like butter?
Like shaking a cloud.
Where did you meet him to shake his hand?
Cliff.
Really?
Old school.
I went to the Cliff, but I didn't see him. I went twice.
The Cliff takes me.
Oh,
back.
I didn't.
Cliff.
Yeah, I didn't shake.
Little bit of blue tow rope round the edge. Literally about 6 foot of tow rope and then like 40 foot of people.
Yeah. When did you go? How long ago?
98.
Right.
So it'd be the summer before we won everything.
98.
Remember that?
Yeah, I was born.
93.
Not a bad summer, that.
Year I was born.
You were born.
So you feel old now.
Got a photo with David Beckham. And they got run over by Roy Keane.
Okay, no. Hey.
And he asked,
Is that deliberate? Did he just drive into the crowd?
Did he ask you to apologise?
You could watch training from like a bit of side on the grass, and they'd literally just roped off a tiny little bit of it. But then after training, you sort of waited in the car park, and they put these crash barriers out. And like I remember Blomkis come out wearing high heels. It's allowed, but he did. Beckham came out, made sure every single.
Stop you there.
Yeah.
High heels were initially made for men.
Cool story. So David Beckham came out, made sure every single person got a photograph or an autograph or whatever they wanted. And then there was a crash barrier here, like an L, and then a straight crash barrier here. And Beckham came out, did all this, and then all along there. But everyone kept kind of filling in the middle because you could kind of like nudge a little bit forward. Keane got in his car, silver Range Rover, just drove at the people.
I love them. That's like my experience with me and Keane as well. I love all that. But yeah, I remember when you used to be able to go to the Cliff and just you could sneak onto the pitch. Like my mate nicked Mark Hughes' training, tracky bottoms. Chavs, I'm sorry, I was only 13. But you could literally just sit on the side of the pitch watching him train. Now you're not even allowed to go to where they stop the cars outside Carrington, are you? You stop people doing that.
What a treat! And like you speak to some old timers and they'd be like, "Yeah, I used to just go and watch George Best play," and you're like, "Fucking hell, what a treat!"
Joe's put something down the screen now. What's that about high heels?
He's just taking us off topic with high heels.
He's just proving the fact that I said.
Yeah, Ronaldo was right.
Ronaldo was right.
Obviously, you said it like as if it was very, very strange for a man to walk out in high heels.
But it is.
Yeah,
Or it was.
It is actually.
It is for a change. It is considering that he probably got changed within eye shot of Roy Keane.
Oh, yeah, that's very, very risky.
and nothing was said. Anyway.
Good knowledge that, Ronnie. Well done, lad.
Thank you.
But yeah, like, I think, oh man, I should have never just gone to school and I should have just gone and watched them train at the Cliff every day. Like, my auntie's got a good one about being in front of Cantona's car. She was waiting for Cantona and he walked up to her and he was thinking, oh, he's going to say something to me. And he was like, can I get my car? She was like, if you've not seen the Cliff, like there's the pig pitch and then there's the slopes, isn't there? And there's literally everyone's car parking spaces there. She was standing there watching training, didn't move as she froze as he came towards her. It was like, can I get a car? She goes and then she shit it that bad. She just moved out of the way, never got a picture or an autograph.
I wouldn't blame her. You would be like, it's Eric in.
So basically, it never happened. Anyway,
But the selfies replaced the autograph,
yes,
and it's better than the autograph.
it's better.
I took a, one of the disposable cameras when I went there. I posted some pictures on Twitter the other day because I dug some
Thumbs
out.
over the front of it.
Yeah, and when we went there, it was like I said, we was only 13, 14, or whatever. But yeah, you used to always get things signed and took some pictures and stuff. But it's funny now because everyone hates him. But my thing then was my big hero was Paul Ince. And I remember when I met Paul Ince, I was starstruck. I was like,
Oh, mate, early 90s Ince was mint.
I know.
Like, what everyone loves about Kante, think of that, but way more aggressive.
He was meant. People
class.
have revisionism because he ended up at the Scousers and everyone hates him. And also he comes out with idiotic comments on when
but
he's
he was a hell of
pundit.
a footballer.
He was, mate. Inter Milan didn't want him for nothing.
No.
And this is when Inter Milan were like one of the top teams.
The
in
stones
Europe.
on the guy as well to tell Keno and Robbo, you call me the governor, with a straight face.
That's just ridiculous. Shockey always tells me he never went in for that.
What, calling him the governor?
Yeah.
Or he never said it?
He just didn't call him.
Did he? So see, we'll ask Jockey this.
Yeah.
Did he walk around going, did someone like Paul, he'd be like, my name's the governor? fucking is it? Yeah, Paul. So we got a super chat from Max Ketley. He says, shout out to Vicky Ford, Chelmsford MP for Children, who voted against Marcus's bill. Never been more embarrassed to live somewhere in my life. It wasn't the only one, mate. There was it 303 of them?
Something like that, yeah, the majority.
I'll get through all of you, don't worry. And Ross Murphy with a super chat says you would run away from the Lloyds TSB horse. It was it was a grey one, it wasn't a black one.
A grey horse?
A grey horse.
I don't think I've ever seen one of them. But to be fair, I've not seen
it's
many horses.
It's not fucking pink, is it? It's grey. It's a pretty natural colour, isn't it?
For a horse?
Yeah.
Never seen a grey horse.
You seen a green one?
A green one? No.
Did you have to think about that? Ignore him.
No, actually, wait.
Mocking the unwell here. It's like taking a mick out of children. He's actually sat there going, for green horse, just take the notice of him, son. Leave him alone. Pack it in.
What about blue ones?
Don't stop it.
No, to be fair, I've not seen that many horses. So
Really? No. Here's me thinking you're an expert on equestrians.
Right. I'm going to call it a day there. But if we didn't make our point clear at the start, we will fucking come for you if you keep writing articles like this. Your names are public, your faces are public, and I'll fucking find you. So, if you want...
Is that a threat?
No.
Stephen
will
send you a strongly worded tweet.
And I'll ask you to justify it in person. There we go. Now it's not a threat. Stop writing bullshit because we'll find you, right? And there's no need for it, for starters.
Ronnie will get on his green horse.
And United, get a set of bollocks.
In his stilettos.
The day I do that.
Hey, Ronnie in his stilettos on a green horse.
Come on, man. How many people like me use it? Anyway.
Right, yeah, let's not go down whatever route you're going to take there. I don't want to know.
Manchester United, grow a pair of bollocks, and on Friday, when they all try and walk through, start putting your hand on someone's chest. Not you. But you go.
Do what Fergie used to do when he was annoyed. Change the press conference to 8 o'clock in the morning. An hour before. or at 1 o'clock on midnight on a Thursday. Send out an email, by the way, the press conference changed now. It's now 3 hours early.
And you see Ian Irvin and Mandy there like that.
Oh, no. Like, all the journalists from London like having to get in the car and drive through the night.
Yeah, fuck them. Honestly, fuck them. They've got no respect for the football club. They've got no respect for the players. So why treat them with respect?
To be fair, though, right, and I will say this just before we wrap up. We've already seen Darren Lewis, who's been on Tier 1, calling it out, and that's one of his colleagues, and he said he's not having it. So I'm not just saying this because not all journalists like this, and there are journalists calling it out.
A new name for him.
You are calling it out, and that's good to see because not everyone's having it. They're saying they're not having it.
Do you think Darren Lewis was a little bit more vocal because he's recently got a little bit of a elevation of stature in it within?
Well, he's always like that.
Yeah,
so that's why when we spoke on the Tier 1 podcast about racism in football, it was why we wanted to get him on. He's not specifically counted as or classed as a Tier 1 journalist, but he's someone who is probably the most prominent journalist speaking about racism, not just because he's black, but because he talks about it all the time. And you've always seen him on TV shows and stuff. And when he came on, he spoke about Marcus Rashford and players like that and the treatment they get, and he was very articulate and insightful on it. And I think today tweeted about we all have to take responsibility. I will be having words with colleagues who aren't.
Well done, Darren.
Do you know what I mean?
Done,
so
Darren.
it's important. There are journalists out there that are doing it. They need to carry on doing it.
Yeah, but the rest of you, fucking stand by. And United, make a stand and tell them to get fucked. Yeah. Oh, your credentials been fucking shredded. Now do one, you arsehole. Cheers for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Give Jay a follow. Give Ronaldo a follow. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.